Let's talk about the extraordinary Donald Trump hush money trial in New York. Both briefs, the prosecution and the attorney of the defense, have now delivered their addresses to the jury. The jury is now retired to consider their verdict. I've got Jennifer Ewing here from the Republican Overseas. She's been kind enough to come into the studio. I've got some film to play you, but you said there's breaking news, Jennifer. Tell me what it is.
Sure. Okay. As you said, the jury went in today to deliberate, and they've got about 30 more minutes, and then they go home for the day. But what has just happened is they came out with a note within 2.5 hours of being there, and I guess what they asked the judge was for somebody to reread testimony from David Pecker, who, as you recall, the catch and kill, the catch and kill, and then also I believe it was to read testimony from a meeting that Michael Cohen had. So now we've got everybody trying to figure out, is this good, is this bad? It clearly means that they have not all walked in there and said, he's guilty, let's go home.
And I'm right. It has to be unanimous, right?
Yes, but
so if one juror says, I don't think he's guilty, Donald walks, yeah?
That's correct. However, what the judge gave instructions several hours ago, and what everyone is astonished by, and there have been a lot of astonishing things in this trial, is if you recall, this is all about a bookkeeping error that was out of date, so it's a misdemeanor. They needed to tie it to a felony.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't know what the felony is, okay? And what the judge has said is, actually, you guys, the 12 of you, don't have to agree on what the felony is. You can sort of pick and choose, right? Somebody can think it's a tax violation, somebody can think it's fraudulent business records, and somebody can think that it's an election violation. So that is insane. Nobody's ever heard of that. It's very confusing, and how is that unanimous? But you are right. It only takes one person for there to be a mistrial.
Here's what I say. If anyone's going to go to prison, it should be that damn judge. What's his name? Juan Merchan, the most biased, prejudiced judge in legal history. Absolute disgrace. So interesting breaking news. Thank you for that. I was wondering whether or not the note they handed out to the judge was, what the hell is he supposed to have done wrong? We can't work it out, because loads of lawyers can't. This is a trumped up case, if I can put it that way. Now, we've got some film to show you. First of all, in a little while, I'm going to show you an old actor going mad. His name is Robert De Niro. He seems to think he owns New York, and therefore Donald Trump isn't allowed to live there. It's not the movies. He's the star of Meet the Parents. Oh, he's a big actor, isn't he? Thinks he's great. God, what an idiot. We'll show you that in a minute, but first let's have a listen or a look at Donald Trump's latest reaction to what has, from any point of view, from any objectional viewpoint, been a disgrace, a shame. It's the trial that shames America. It is a disgrace. It is Democrat lawfare trying to undermine Donald Trump. Anyway, let's have a look at Donald reacting to this.
Crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States. He is the worst president by far in the history of the United States. On education, we will cut federal funding for any school pushing Marxist and communist race and gender theories on our children. We will keep men out of women's sports. And I will not give one penny to any school that has a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate.
I don't care what you say, he's damn good. He is damn good. Now, from the sublime to the ridiculous, here's that silly old fool, Robert De Niro, lambasting Americans and telling them that Donald Trump can't live in his city. When did Mr. De Niro decide that he owns New York? I'm not entirely sure. Perhaps he's losing his marbles. He certainly looks like it in this clip. Take it away, Bobby.
Trump ran in 2016, it was like a joke. This buffoon running for president. No, never could happen. We'd forgotten the lessons of history that showed us other clowns who weren't taken seriously until they became vicious dictators. With Trump, we have a second chance. And no one is laughing now. This is the time to stop him by voting him out once and for all.
He's the star of a film called Badfellas. At least it's now called Badfellas. It used to be called Goodfellas. I mean, he is a great actor, to be fair, you know, but he's very disappointing in this respect. Who the hell does he think he is, Jennifer?
I don't know, and you're right, he is a great actor, but I'm really surprised he couldn't learn his lines, because I don't know what's more offensive, that he showed up wearing a COVID mask 4 years later. Yes, he did. He walked in wearing a COVID mask in the outside.
COVID's over, Bobby.
And then he read from a script, and I think, you know, if you feel that passionately about what you're talking about, i.e. Donald Trump is going to ruin democracy and never leave the office of the president, which is what he said, you'd think you could memorize if you liked. He read the entire thing. It was insane. And then, of course, he started engaging with some of the people that were there and even some of the journalists. And it got really, really messy. And it was sad, you know. It's sad to see this, you know, famous actor just deteriorate. But it shows you the desperation of the Biden campaign, that they think this could possibly work.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, he's a great actor, but I never understand why actors think that their views are interesting to the rest of the world, because I couldn't care less what De Niro thinks about anything. I care even less after that ridiculous performance. And you would have thought, you know, as an actor, it's his job. He could have learned his lines first.
I would think so, or it's just back to first principles. You know, if I asked you something, even if you didn't know I was going to ask you about it, and you have beliefs on it, you can, you know, put together a few sentences in a passionate way. He also had some of the J6 guys behind him, you know, the police officers, and he's still talking about that. But well, I don't understand who they were trying to win over by this. Anybody that believes that Trump is an insurrectionist, which he was never charged with, or that he's never going to give back the office should he win it again, let's be clear, he did give it up already. They're already going to vote for Biden. So this isn't going to win over the independents in 7 swing states.
What you're seeing, folks, with Mr. De Niro there is an extreme case of Trump derangement syndrome.
Definitely.
This entire trial is based on Trump derangement syndrome. De Niro called him a monster. A monster. He's not a monster. And by the way, that rally, you know, when he's running through all the things he did, if that doesn't get him elected, I don't know what will. That cuts to the heart of exactly what's wrong, not only with America, but also this country as well. We suffer from this same scourge of mad wokery, gender politics. If he's going to cut through all of that, and he's going to close the southern border, which, by the way, is not an inhumane thing. That is a humanitarian crisis.
Absolutely.
Millions of people trapped there, people dying in their droves. So closing that border on the south is the humane thing to do. If he could do that and get America back on track, out of the hands of that old fossil Biden, I mean, will if this verdict goes against him? I mean, I did read a statistic, Jennifer, that 30, I'm not sure I believe it, 30% of Republican voters say that they couldn't bring themselves to vote for a convicted felon. I respect that, because a lot of Americans, they do hold the law in very high esteem. So I'm worried about that. But I'm thinking that this trial is such an affront to justice, such an affront to American justice, that even those people might say, this is wrong, I'm voting Trump.
Oh, absolutely. And he's continued to amaze more and more people. And just today, like I said, with the instructions that this judge gave, it's something nobody's ever heard of before.
Go pick your own felon.
Pick your own felon. And let's not forget that Alvin Bragg, who's the district attorney in this, has moved felonies, 60% of the felonies, i.e. murders and rapes and muggings and robberies in New York City, 60% of them he's moved down to misdemeanors. And he decides to dress this one up. If you're going to put the former president of the United States and possibly the future president of the United States in prison, you know, it better be a very clear-cut case of what he's done. And I don't think anyone can figure out what that is.
I think let's talk about Biden with, I mean, yeah, I agree. So you, sorry to sort of go back on that. Do you feel that, contrary to what that statistic I just gave you, that it is very possible that Trump could lose this trial, in other words, be found guilty of a felony, and then go on to win the presidency?
So there's it's very unlikely they will acquit him, right? So the best thing for him is a mistrial, i.e. one person, as you just said, decides I can't go along with this. Or the third thing is he gets convicted. He will immediately appeal. And just by the fact that the judge, with these wishy-washy instructions, doesn't seem to care about an appeal. All they want is a conviction before Election Day.
Yes.
And yes, I do think that will change some people's minds.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll change 30% of the people's minds, but some people will go, this is a mess. But
the other aspect of this, of course, is that New York City is a Democrat place, Democrat judge, Democrat chief prosecutor, etc., etc., and on that jury, 8 of them are Democrats. However, that means 4 aren't. They could be persuadable in Trump's favor, couldn't they?
Well, and 2 are lawyers, right? So if these lawyers are decent men or women...
He's never let a lawyer on a jury.
Well,
really bad idea.
There's 2. That's a pretty high percentage. So maybe if they're looking at this... And then Politico recently did an article about one juror, we don't know who it is, who's been kind of really reacting in a positive way to when Trump speaks. So who knows? It only takes one.
Exactly. As I say, there are 4 people that I think, well, it's probably wrong to say that all 8 Democrats are, rampant, corrupt Democrat supporters who will go against what they really feel. I mean, they're good American citizens. I think they'll take their duties seriously. I don't see what the hell has been proved here in terms of being a felony. I mean, a little bit of perhaps... book cooking, but I don't know. I mean, a lot of lawyers, Alan Dershowitz said last week, and by the way, he's a Democrat.
Yep.
He was in the court, and he said for the life of him, he can't work out what offence it is that Donald Trump is supposed to have committed.
Well, nor can the judge. That's why he's given them a, choose your own adventure, right? Like, some of you can choose A, some of you can choose B or C, and you don't have to agree on it. That's incredible, and it's insane. And you know what, again, if we're going to bring down a president, then make it count. And this is ridiculous, and it's a waste of money, and it's a waste of time, and
well, it's corrupt.
It's corrupt. It's made a lot of people actually, the losers in this case, the real losers. If Trump gets convicted, it's not Trump. It's the American people who don't get to vote for him if that's what they wanted to do, and well, they will get to vote for him. But more importantly, it's like the American people, because we've just tarnished our justice system.
Yeah, it really does.
It's not about Trump. It's about us.
It has been the trial that shames America. It really does. Now let's think of a more positive outcome for Trump supporters, at least. He gets acquitted, or it's a mistrial. Then it's a triumph and a disaster for the Democrats' lawfare.
That's right, because that is all they have before November 5th. That's all they have. The others, we've talked about this before, have been postponed, or other things have happened. So then they'll just have to win on the issues, which are inflation, economy, the border, safety, and, Trump's way ahead on all of those. And then you look at other sort of demographics. I mean, Joe Biden today, I believe, is in someplace in Pennsylvania. He started some black voter initiative because he saw how popular Trump was.
With the black and Hispanic voters, he's getting a hell of a lot of support from those communities.
Yes, and statistically, so I believe...
Because they're mainly blue-collar. He appeals to blue-collar people.
Well, he's not even doing identity politics. In South Bronx, there was Hispanics, there was white people, there were black people, and it's just, these are people who are working, who are like, hey, my eggs cost $8. I don't care about climate change, which you've spent more money on than everything else. And, it's safety and border and inflation. They're normal people. And
yeah, and the polls I'm seeing, I mean, more and more people, I've been saying for some time that I thought Trump would win. I've even gone out on a limb and said I think he might win it by a mile. I think if he gets acquitted or there's a mistrial in New York, I think he could really, really win this. But even those doubters now are saying, well, he's doing well in places where he shouldn't be doing well, right?
Well, that's exactly right. And just to give you an example, in 2020, Biden won 92% of the black vote, right?
Yeah.
And a few people have done the math. In order for Biden to win this election, he has to get 80% of the black vote. Trump is now polling at low 20s to 30. So you do the math.
Yeah.
And,
It's not gonna get it, yeah.
and then that's Hispanic, Asians, you know, even younger people are not buying all of this stuff. So the question is, was your life better 4 years ago than it is now? And for most people, it is yes. And I will take those mean tweets all day long because we had, you know, peace all over the world, no new wars, and pretty decent economy.
Absolutely. I mean, I want Trump to win because I think Biden is a disaster. But I have a really, really special reason why I want Trump to win now. To see the look on Robert De Niro's face. Hey, Bobby, when he wins, you'll realise you're just some impotent person who pretends to be other people for a living. Just an actor. You know what I mean? Anyway... thank you very much, Jennifer. That
You're
was
welcome.
excellent. So we'll follow that trial. We'll follow the verdict. Really interesting times. Jennifer Ewing from the Republican Overseas Organisation on the latest with Donald Trump and Robert De Niro now.